The warning ignored. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Alliance Council gleamed under the light of 3 artificial suns. Representatives from over 500 species sat in rising tiers, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. Some floated in special atmosphere chambers, others sat encased in mechanical suits, while many appeared almost humanoid, differing only in color, texture, or the number of limbs they possessed. High Admiral Crozar of the Vesteri stood before them, his scaled skin catching the light as he gestured at the holographic display dominating the center of the chamber. His voice, translated into the standard galactic language, rang with confidence. The expansion into Sector 9 will proceed as planned. Our surveys indicate abundant resources on multiple worlds, particularly the 3rd planet of this unremarkable yellow star. The hologram zoomed in on Earth, a blue marble spinning peacefully. The dominant species has achieved rudimentary spaceflight, but remains confined to their planetary system. Their technology is at least 3 centuries behind our standard. Resource extraction can begin immediately with minimal resistance expected. From the back of the chamber, a voice spoke. It was soft, yet it carried an authority that silenced the murmurs of the council. I request the floor, High Council. The council chairperson, a willowy being with 6 arms, nodded. Elder Vorex is recognized. The crowd parted as an ancient being moved slowly toward the center of the chamber. Vorex belonged to the Archivists, one of the oldest species in the Alliance. His kind were known for their exceptional lifespans and their role as the memory keepers of galactic history. His skin was pale and nearly translucent with age, and the wisdom of millennia shone in his large golden eyes. I have studied countless species across my 5,000 cycles, Vorex began, his voice gentle but clear. I have helped this council navigate first contact protocols with hundreds of emerging civilizations. Never before have I advised against contact. Until now. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Crozar's expression darkened. These humans, Vorex continued, waving a long-fingered hand to enlarge the hologram of Earth, are unlike any species we have encountered. They possess a quality that makes them uniquely dangerous. All species fight for survival, interrupted a representative from a warrior race, her blue-furred face skeptical. This is hardly noteworthy. It goes far beyond survival, Vorex replied, his eyes scanning the chamber. Let me show you. The hologram shifted, showing humans throughout their history, building, fighting, exploring, enduring. Humans have a concept they call tenacity. When they believe they have been wronged, they will pursue those responsible across any distance and through any amount of time. Other species fight until the cost becomes too great. Humans will sometimes fight until they win or until they are completely destroyed. High Admiral Crozar scoffed. Are you suggesting these primitives would be a match for our forces? Their most advanced weapons would barely scratch our defensive shields. Vorex shook his head slowly. Not now, perhaps not for centuries. But if you attack them, if you kill their people, and take their resources without permission, they will never stop hunting you. They will pass down their hatred from parent to child. They will improve their technology with a single purpose: to find you and make you pay. We have encountered stubborn species before, countered a member with metallic skin and glowing implants. They learn quickly enough that resistance is futile. You misunderstand, Vorex said quietly. Other species are logical. When faced with superior force, they make the sensible choice to surrender or negotiate. Humans often do not. They have a saying, revenge is a dish best served cold. It means they are willing to wait generations to settle what they call a score. The hologram changed again, showing human technological progress, from simple wheeled vehicles to spacecraft, in what was merely an eye blink of cosmic time. They are advancing quickly. In just 100 of their years, they went from primitive flight to walking on their moon. Their rate of technological development is among the fastest we have ever observed. All the more reason to establish control now, while we still can, said the blue-furred representative. Vorex sighed deeply. I have studied thousands of species across my long life. I have never advised this council to avoid contact with any of them. Until now. If you attack the humans, they will mark you. All of you. They will learn your names, your home worlds, and they will come for you. Council Chairperson Zeal seemed troubled. We appreciate your concern, Elder Vorex, but we require the resources in this sector. The new colonial expansion has already been approved. You need those resources that badly. Vorex asked. The decision is made, Crozar stated firmly. The extraction fleet leaves tomorrow. Vorex looked at each council member in turn. Remember my words. If you take from the humans by force, they will never forget. They will never forgive. They will hunt you forever. Your concern is noted, said Chairperson Zeal. This meeting is adjourned. As the council members filed out, Vorex remained in the center of the chamber, his ancient heart heavy with premonition. A young council aide approached him. Do you really believe these humans are so dangerous? They're so small, and their ships are so primitive. Vorex looked down at the aide. Size and technology are not everything. The humans have a saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. The Alliance is about to kick a very small dog with a very big spirit, and they will regret it for generations to come. Captain Alina Reyes was enjoying the view from the observation deck of Ganymede Station when the first alarm sounded. The massive habitat, home to 3,000 researchers, engineers, and their families, orbited Jupiter's largest moon, mining helium-3, and conducting deep space research. Captain to the command center immediately came the urgent call over the station's comm system. Elena ran to the central hub, her heart pounding. The command center was a flurry of activity when she arrived. Report, she ordered, taking her place at the main console. Lieutenant Commander Jackson pointed to the main display. Unknown objects approaching from beyond Neptune's orbit, sir, moving at incredible speeds. How many? At least 30 large vessels and numerous smaller craft. Definitely not ours. After decades of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, it seemed that intelligent life had found them first. Elena took a deep breath. This was the moment humanity had prepared for yet never truly expected. Send the first contact protocol message on all frequencies, all formats. The first contact protocol was humanity's introduction to the stars, a collection of mathematics, basic language primers, music, and images designed to demonstrate peaceful intentions and intelligence. Message sent, Captain. No response. For 3 days, the alien fleet remained near Jupiter, neither advancing nor responding to Earth's increasingly desperate attempts at communication. Military forces across Earth went on high alert, and emergency government sessions were held worldwide. On the 4th day, the alien fleet began to move again, straight towards Ganymede Station. They're on an intercept course, Jackson reported, his voice tight with tension. Elena made a decision. Prepare my shuttle. I'm going to meet them halfway. Captain, that's not protocol. If their intentions are hostile, we need to know now, Elena insisted. 6 hours later, Elena's diplomatic vessel, accompanied by 3 small military escorts, was on an intercept course with the alien fleet. They continued broadcasting the first contact message on all channels. Still no response, reported Communications Officer Chen. Elena watched through the viewport as the alien ships grew larger. They were elegant in a strange way, sleek vessels that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Suddenly, a new sound filled the bridge, a series of clicks and whistles unlike anything Elena had ever heard. They're responding, Chen exclaimed, adjusting his equipment. The computer is trying to translate. To everyone's shock, the alien message was followed by words in perfect English. Attention Earth vessels. This is High Admiral Crozar of the Galactic Alliance Resource Acquisition Fleet. Your presence is acknowledged. Stand aside. The bridge crew exchanged glances of amazement. They speak English, Jackson whispered. Translation technology, Elena guessed, must be far beyond ours. She leaned forward. Chen, open a channel. When Chen nodded, Alina spoke clearly. High Admiral Crozar, this is Captain Alina Reyes of Earth. We welcome you to our solar system and wish to establish peaceful relations. We request a meeting to discuss your intentions. There was a long pause before the reply came. Captain Reyes, your solar system contains resources claimed by the Galactic Alliance. We are here to extract these resources. Your cooperation is appreciated but not required. Alina felt a chill run down her spine. Admiral Crozar, these resources belong to the people of Earth. We are willing to discuss trade agreements that would benefit both our peoples. Trade is inefficient, came the cold reply. We have our orders. Your outpost on Ganymede will be evacuated immediately. You have 6 Earth hours to comply. Admiral, please, Alina persisted. We need more time. At least allow us to discuss this with our world leaders. 6 hours, Crozar repeated. Then we begin operations regardless of your status. The communication ended abruptly. Alina turned to her crew. Send everything to Earth Command. Tell them we need instructions immediately. For the next 5 hours, frantic messages flew between Earth, the space stations, and Alina's ship. World leaders argued about how to respond. Military commanders demanded permission to ready their weapons, and scientists pleaded for more time to understand the aliens' technology. With 1 hour remaining, Earth Command finally sent their decision. Do not yield. Attempt further negotiation. All stations are being reinforced. Alina didn't like it. The reinforcements wouldn't arrive in time, and Earth's weapons would be useless against the alien technology she had observed. She opened the channel again. Admiral Crozar, our people request additional time for discussion. Surely the Galactic Alliance values diplomatic relations. We can find a solution that works for everyone. Crozar's response was immediate. Your time is up, Captain Reyes. We detect your military vessels approaching. This is considered a hostile action. They're not hostile, Alina protested. A bright flash lit up the viewport. On the screens, Alina watched in horror as one of the small research outposts near Jupiter exploded. No, she shouted. Admiral Crozar, stop. There were people on that station. Your warning has been delivered, Crozar replied coldly. Clear the area or face similar consequences. Alina's hands clenched into fists. Those were innocent civilians, scientists. They were in a restricted resource area, Crozar said. The Galactic Alliance has claimed this system. Further interference will result in additional enforcement. Before Alina could respond, alarms blared across her ship. Multiple energy signatures, Jackson shouted. They're targeting Ganymede Station. Warn them, Alina ordered. Tell them to evacuate now. But it was too late. The alien weapons fired again. Strange beams that seemed to fold space itself. Ganymede Station, home to 3,000 men and women, vanished in a silent flash. Alina stared at the empty space where the station had been, her whole body numb with shock. Get us out of here, she whispered. Back to Earth. Now. As her ship turned and accelerated away, a final message came from Admiral Crozar. The resource extraction will continue as planned. Further resistance will be met with appropriate force. This communication is now ended. Alina looked at her crew. She saw the same emotions on their faces that burned in her heart. Shock, grief, and a growing rage. They'll pay for this, Jackson said, his voice shaking. Alina nodded slowly. Yes, they will. She turned to Chen. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them. She paused, her voice hardening. Tell them war has begun. As Alina's ship raced homeward, behind them, the alien fleet spread throughout the outer solar system, unaware that they had just made the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy. The Reckoning. 5 years had passed since the aliens attacked. 5 years of grief, rage, and desperate preparation. Earth had changed forever on that terrible day when thousands of lives were lost in the outer solar system. General Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the Retribution, Earth's newest and largest warship. Once a captain of a space station, now she commanded humanity's vanguard fleet. It wasn't much compared to the alien vessels, but it was the best humanity could build in such a short time. "Status report," Elena ordered, her voice steady despite the tension that filled the ship. "All systems ready, General," replied her second-in-command, Colonel Jackson. "The fleet is in position and awaiting your command." Elena nodded and looked at the main screen. It showed 20 Earth ships hiding in the shadow of Saturn's rings. It wasn't much of a fleet, 5 military vessels and 15 retrofitted cargo ships, but it was all that stood between Earth and total subjugation. "And our secret weapon?" she asked quietly. Jackson handed her a tablet. "The science team reports it's ready. They've reverse-engineered enough of the alien technology from the debris we collected. Dr. Chen says it should work." Elena studied the report. After the initial attack, Earth had sent teams to collect any alien technology they could find. Working day and night, the best scientists on the planet had managed to understand some of the basic principles of the alien weapons and shields. "It will have to be enough," Elena said, handing back the tablet. "What's the status of the enemy fleet?" Admiral Crozar's flagship remains in orbit around Titan. They've established mining operations on 5 moons. The rest of their fleet is spread throughout the system. Elena's eyes narrowed. "They think we're beaten. They think we've given up." She straightened her uniform. "It's time to show them how wrong they are. Send the signal." Jackson nodded and pressed a button on his console. "All ships acknowledge. Operation Payback is a go." Elena took a deep breath. "Begin countdown." In the magnificent halls of the Galactic Alliance Council, Admiral Crozar's holographic report was being received with satisfaction. "The primitive species has been subdued," Crozar's hologram stated to the assembled council members. "They offered minimal resistance after we demonstrated our power. Mining operations are proceeding ahead of schedule." Chairperson Zeal nodded approvingly. "Excellent work, Admiral. Any further issues with the locals?" "None," Crozar replied confidently. "They've retreated to their home planet. Their technology is too primitive to pose any threat. I expect to complete the extraction within 1 standard year." Elder Vorex, who sat at the back of the chamber, shook his head sadly but remained silent. He had warned them, but they had not listened. Now it was too late. "Very well," said Zeal. "Continue your—" An aide rushed into the chamber and whispered urgently to the chairperson, whose color changed in alarm. "Admiral Crozar," Zeal said sharply, "we're receiving reports of an attack on your fleet. Please verify." Crozar's hologram flickered with surprise. "Impossible. The humans have no weapons that cold." The hologram suddenly disappeared. Back at Saturn, Crozar stood on his flagship's bridge in shock. Alarms blared as 5 of his ships reported being under attack. "How is this happening?" he demanded. "Their weapons couldn't even dent our shields 6 months ago." His tactical officer looked up from the console with fear in his multiple eyes. "They're using our own technology against us, Admiral. Somehow they've adapted our shield frequencies and weapon signatures." Crozar couldn't believe it. "That's impossible. No species could reverse-engineer our technology so quickly." "The mining station on Titan is under heavy attack," another officer reported. "They're requesting immediate assistance." Crozar straightened his posture. "Launch all fighters. Target the human vessels and destroy them. This ends now." As Crozar's fighters streamed out of his flagship, he didn't notice the small human ship that had drifted close, using the debris field from earlier battles as cover. On board that ship, the Phantom, Major Sarah Martinez checked her team one last time. "Remember the plan," she told the 12 men and women in tactical gear. "We get in, plant the devices, and get out. 20 minutes max." They all nodded. Each of them had lost friends or family in the initial alien attack. This mission was personal. "Docking in 30 seconds, the pilot announced. They haven't detected us yet. Sarah checked her weapon, a combination of Earth technology and alien components. It felt strange in her hands, but the test results had been promising. For Earth, she said simply. For Earth, her team echoed. The Phantom silently attached itself to the hull of Crozar's flagship, its special coating making it invisible to the alien sensors. Sarah's team cut through the hull and slipped inside, their suits protecting them from decompression. Inside the alien ship, they moved quickly through the strange corridors. The few aliens they encountered were quickly neutralized with the modified weapons. Plant the devices at these junctions, Sarah ordered, pointing to a rough map they had created from scans. Teams of 2 broke off, setting timers for 15 minutes. As the team split up, Sarah and her partner headed for what their intelligence suggested was the command center. They needed to confirm Crozar's location before they left. Meanwhile, the space battle raged around Saturn. Alina's fleet was taking heavy damage, but they were also inflicting serious harm on the alien ships. Their shields are adapting, Jackson reported. Our weapons are becoming less effective. Alina nodded grimly. As expected, have all ships start rotation beta and give me a status on Team Phantom. They've boarded the flagship. No communication as planned. Alina checked the time. 5 more minutes, then we begin withdrawal. All ships need to be at safe distance in 12 minutes. On the alien flagship, Sarah placed the last device near what they believed was the main engine control. She checked the timer. 7 minutes remaining. Let's get to the extraction point, she told her partner. As they turned to leave, a door slid open, and Admiral Crozar himself stepped through, flanked by guards. For a moment, both groups stared at each other in surprise. Then Crozar raised a weapon. Humans, he hissed in his translated voice. How dare you board my ship? Sarah didn't hesitate. She fired her modified weapon, and to Crozar's shock, the energy blast went straight through his personal shield. Crozar dove aside, but his guards were hit and fell. Run! Sarah shouted to her partner, who took off down the corridor. Sarah fired again, forcing Crozar to take cover. Their eyes met across the room, human and alien. And Sarah saw something new in the Admiral's gaze. Fear. You were warned, Sarah said coldly. You should not have attacked us. Then she turned and ran, following her team back to the extraction point. Behind her, Crozar rose and shouted orders to his crew, unaware of the devices counting down throughout his ship. Back on the Retribution, Alina watched the battle with growing tension. All teams report extraction complete, Jackson announced. Phantom is away from the flagship. Signal the withdrawal, Alina ordered. Full speed to the rendezvous point. As Earth's fleet pulled back from Saturn, the alien ships pursued, exactly as planned. None of them noticed the small devices that had been planted not just on Crozar's flagship, but on several other key vessels during the chaos of battle. From the safety of Titan's shadow, Alina watched the countdown reach 0. Multiple explosions bloomed silently across Crozar's fleet. The flagship itself didn't explode completely. They had wanted Crozar to survive. But its engines and weapons went dark. Several other ships broke apart entirely. Direct hit, Jackson reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from his voice. Flagship is disabled but intact. 5 enemy vessels destroyed. The rest are in disarray. Alina nodded slowly. Send the message. A tight beam transmission shot from the Retribution directly to Crozar's crippled flagship. It contained only a few words. This is just the beginning. We are coming for you. As Alina's fleet disappeared into the depths of space, Crozar stared at the message on his damaged bridge. For the first time in his long career, he felt something he had never expected to feel when dealing with a primitive species: dread. Send a message to the Council, he ordered his remaining officers. Request immediate reinforcements. One of his officers looked up nervously. Sir, the humans. They're leaving the system. What? Crozar couldn't believe it. Where are they going? The officer checked the readings again. Based on their trajectory, they appear to be heading toward Galactic Alliance space. Crozar felt a cold realization wash over him. The humans weren't just defending their system. They were taking the fight to the Alliance itself. 3 more years passed. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Human ships, now using technology reverse-engineered and improved from captured alien vessels, had struck at a dozen Alliance worlds. They weren't interested in conquest. They targeted only military installations and resource extraction operations, always leaving civilian populations untouched. But they had one primary objective that overshadowed all others: finding Admiral Crozar. The Galactic Alliance Council was in emergency session. The chamber, once grand and confident, now felt tense and desperate. "The humans have disabled the defenses at Proxima Colony," reported the defense minister, her scales pale with stress. "That's the 3rd outpost this month." Chairperson Zeal looked around the chamber. "Where is Admiral Crozar? He was supposed to present his strategy today." No one answered. Crozar had been moving from system to system, always one step ahead of the human forces that pursued him relentlessly. Elder Vorex spoke from his seat. His voice was weaker now, but it still carried the weight of wisdom. "I warned you," he said simply. "I told you they would hunt you forever." "No one could have predicted they would advance so quickly," snapped the defense minister. "They've compressed centuries of technological development into just 8 years. "I predicted it," Vorex replied. "Their drive, their determination. These are qualities I recognized. You dismissed them as primitives. They saw their people destroyed and swore vengeance. And now, they will not stop until they have it." Zeal's communications device chimed. The chairperson's expression grew even more troubled as they read the message. "Admiral Crozar's flagship has been located. The humans have found him." General Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, Earth's most advanced warship. 8 years of war had changed her. A network of scars ran across the left side of her face, and her eyes held the hardness that came from years of fighting. But they also held something else: the satisfaction of a hunt nearing its end. "We've confirmed the signature," reported Colonel Jackson, now her executive officer. "It's definitely Crozar's ship. He's hiding in the Sirius system on a small moon." Elena nodded slowly. After all this time, 8 years, they had been hunting Crozar. 8 years since he had destroyed Ganymede Station and killed 3,000 innocent people. The Alliance had offered peace multiple times, but Earth had one non-negotiable condition: surrender Crozar and the council members who had authorized the attack. "Prepare the strike team," Elena ordered. "I'll lead this one myself." "General," Jackson protested, "the Alliance has probably set a trap. Crozar is too valuable to them." "That's exactly why I need to go," Elena replied. "This ends today." As the Nemesis changed course for the Sirius system, Elena went to her quarters to prepare. On her wall hung a memorial to Ganymede Station and its 3,000 crew members, all lost in the first alien attack. Elena looked at it every day to remind herself why she fought. Her computer chimed with an incoming call. Elena accepted it, and the face of United Earth President Chen appeared on the screen. "General," he said, "I hear you found him." Elena nodded. "Finally, we're heading to Sirius now." Chen's face showed concern. "The Alliance is offering peace terms again. They're desperate. This war has cost them far more than they ever anticipated." "They know our terms," Elena replied firmly. "We want Crozar and the council members who ordered the attack. Nothing less." Chen sighed. "Just remember who we are, Elena. We're fighting because they struck first, because they killed innocents without provocation. Don't become what we're fighting against." Elena's expression softened slightly. "I remember, sir. Always." On a small, desolate moon in the Sirius system, Admiral Crozar waited in his bunker. His once proud flagship lay camouflaged in a crater nearby, its systems powered down to avoid detection. But somehow, the humans had found him anyway. He reviewed the reports one last time. 8 years of humiliation. 8 years of watching the supposedly primitive humans tear through the Alliance's defenses with terrifying efficiency. His name had become synonymous with failure throughout the galaxy. The Alliance had abandoned him. Their last communication had made it clear he was on his own. The price of peace would be his surrender to the humans. An alarm sounded. Crozar checked the scanner. A single human shuttle was approaching. Just one. He frowned. Their usual tactics involved overwhelming force. Why send just one shuttle? The answer became clear as the shuttle landed and a single figure emerged. Through his viewers, Crozar recognized her immediately from the intelligence files. General Elena Reyes, the human who had led the charge against him for 8 years. She was alone and unarmed. Crozar hesitated, then made his decision. He donned his environmental suit and went to meet her. They stood facing each other on the barren surface of the moon. The human general and the alien admiral whose actions had started a war. "Admiral Crozar," Elena said, her voice transmitted through their suit communicators. "General Reyes," Crozar replied. "You have hunted me across the galaxy, and now we meet face to face." "You destroyed Ganymede Station," Elena said. 3,000 innocent people, scientists, families. "It was a military action," Crozar said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Authorized by the Council. You were warned," Elena replied. "Before you ever came to our system, you were warned about humans. Someone told you exactly what would happen if you attacked us, and you ignored that warning." Crozar was silent for a moment. "Elder Vorax," he finally said. "He warned the Council. He said you would never stop hunting us, that you would pass down your vendetta from generation to generation." He looked at the barren landscape around them. He was right. "And now?" Elena asked. "The Alliance has abandoned me," Crozar admitted. "I am the price of peace." Elena studied him through her visor. "Your surrender alone isn't enough. We want the Council members who authorized the attack." "They fled," Crozar said. "Disappeared into the outer regions." But he hesitated, then reached into a compartment of his suit and pulled out a data crystal. "This contains their identities, their authorization codes, their hiding locations, everything you need to find them." He held it out to her. "Will it end then? This hunt?" Elena took the crystal. "Justice will be served, and then perhaps peace can begin." Crozar nodded slowly. "Elder Vorax said one more thing about humans, something I didn't understand until now." "What was that?" "He said that once humans consider you an enemy, they will hunt you forever. But if you earn their respect, there is no more loyal friend in the galaxy." Crozar looked up at the stars. "Perhaps one day, our peoples could be allies rather than enemies." Elena was silent for a long moment. "First comes justice," she finally said. "Then we can talk about peace." 6 months later, Elder Vorax stood before the new Galactic Alliance Council. The chamber was smaller now, more modest. Many of the old members were gone, either in hiding or surrendered to the humans for justice. "The human delegation has arrived," announced the new chairperson. The doors opened, and General Elena Reyes entered, accompanied by a small group of human representatives. The council members watched with a mixture of fear and respect. Vorax stepped forward to meet them, his ancient eyes meeting Elena's. "General Reyes," he said, "we meet at last." "Elder Vorax," Elena replied with a slight bow. "The one who warned them about us." Vorax nodded sadly. "A warning unheeded, to my great regret." "They say you understand humans better than any non-human in the galaxy," Elena said. "I have studied your kind for centuries," Vorax replied. "Your determination, your resilience, your capacity for both great vengeance and great forgiveness. You are unique among all the species I have encountered." Elena looked around at the council chamber. "Justice has been served. Crozar and those who ordered the attack have answered for their crimes. Now we must decide what comes next." Vorax gestured toward the council table. "That is why we are here today. Not to dwell on past mistakes, but to build a future where such mistakes need never happen again. As they took their seats at the table, Vorax leaned closer to Elena. "You know," he said quietly, "there is another human quality I have always admired." "What's that?" Elena asked. "Your capacity to turn enemies into friends," Vorax replied. "Perhaps that is your greatest strength of all." Elena looked at the assembled council members, then back at Vorax. "We'll see," she said. "That may be the hardest battle yet." Vorax smiled. "But a battle worth fighting, I think." Around them, human and alien representatives began the long, difficult work of building peace. The warning had been given. The warning had been ignored. The price had been paid. Now, perhaps, wisdom would prevail. And in the vast expanse of the galaxy, a new understanding spread. Respect humanity, and you will have no greater friend. Threaten humanity, and you will have no more determined enemy. For humans, once provoked, will hunt you forever.